Yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Bogz. Welcome back to Off the Wall. It's going to be a short, sharp Creed 3 spoiler review for you right now. Let's get to it. So, a full disclaimer, I absolutely love Rocky. The whole franchise, the character is one of my favorite characters of all time. Love the movies, really like the Creed movies as well. So, I was excited for this movie. And to be honest, I actually did a whole rewatch of all the Rocky movies, all the Creed movies before this. Love Jonathan Majors. So I was eagerly anticipating this, see where it'd go. Obviously, a major issue, Rocky is not in the movie. I haven't really looked too much into why, in terms of the studio or contractual issues. I was just gutted. He is the heartbeat of the franchise. Obviously, like I said, he's one of my favorite characters of all time. And even in the Creed movies, he is the heartbeat of their movies as well. He is the emotional guide and balance for Adonis Creed. And without him being in the movie, it is gutting going in. But obviously, I went in with an open mind. Let's see what's happening. Let's see what you can give me. Michael B. Jordan directorial debut. Big shoes to fill. Continuing on with this legacy. Big pressure. How did he do? In short, this is definitely a fun movie. It's absolutely unique. It is messy though, in several parts, particularly with the boxing rules, ranking systems, how people get title shots, some of the physical stuff, which I'll get into a bit later. But overall, yes, it's definitely fun. If you are a fan of Creed, yes, then it is a must watch. And I have to say, Michael B. Jordan did a fantastic job, much better than I expected he would in his first major kind of role as a director, and obviously starring in the movie as well. Definitely the fight scenes were unique. Definitely delved deep into the family stuff. There was character development in this from all sides, really, from Adonis, from with his family, and of course with Jonathan Major's character Dame Anderson as well. So yes, it was fun, but like I said, it's some stuff that just hit me here, not in a good way, um, and it didn't sit right with me. So I did like it, didn't love it. So again, we do as we do in all the Creed movies. Adonis's past comes back, and he has to kind of confront it and face it head on. This time, it's his friend who he kind of used to hang with in the streets and also kind of box amateur. He obviously gets into trouble with him. A gun gets kind of pulled out as the during a fight, and he's Jonathan Major's character Dame is the one that kind of has to gets arrested, and Donnie, obviously Adonis, has to kind of goes on the run and gets away with it. It is obviously a trope. It is things that we've seen so many times before, but I was totally fine with that. That wasn't an issue. And doing the whole backflash stuff with the kids, I thought both the young kids were good in the amateur kind of setup, fighting in like clubs. Here in the UK, they're called working men's clubs, like old school pubs basically. And it's the same kind of thing. His friend Dame, obviously a Golden Gloves champion and amateur kind of national champion, was going on. He had kind of goals to go to the Olympics and turn pro, but obviously he got sentenced to 18 or so, and never got the chance. We also see the movie exploring Adonis's life in LA. He's a very wealthy man now, had many successful defenses. He's 26-1. A lot of things going right for him up until Dame comes along. Comes out of prison, and he wants a fair crack at it. He never Adonis never came to visit him, and I understood that. And Dame is just clearly unhinged. He definitely has a kind of prison personality, I'm going to put it as. So he's obviously been released, definitely institutionalized, definitely has some kind of like mental issues where he's just so almost deluded, manipulative. And Jonathan Majors, you've got the guy. Marvel have got this guy. He is the right guy to put front and center at the MCU. I mean, talent wise, yes. Although, to be honest, I don't like Kang at all. Even Loki and Ant-Man the Wasp, I think he's a dreadful character. So he's much better in this movie, much more interesting, much more development. And obviously, not only that, he kind of has a prison physique, working out with that hard iron all the time. And obviously, he's in great shape and stuff. So, yes, he's got the physicality and the acting skills and the character development. So he was a really good villain. And also, you had sympathy for him when you needed to, but you kind of rooted against him when you need to as well. In particular, Jonathan Majors captures the small details, and particularly, I've seen a few reviews, but I've not seen people mention this stuff in particular, the actual boxing stuff that I really like. When he fought Adonis Creed, it actually ended was the reason why he got knocked out. But the kind of peekaboo style, when they kind of look in between, his defense is kind of this way across. Many fighters have done this over the years. Joe Frazier being one of them, who, of course, former heavyweight champion of the world, who features in the first Rocky movie in 1976, and also Mike Tyson, of course. It is kind of it's a kind of hybrid of a certain, like I said, peekaboo defense. Also, it's a lot of street guys fight like that as well, and it's developed in the streets. Joe Frazier grew up in the streets and was a famous slugger. Obviously, Mike Tyson fought so much in the streets as well growing up before he kind of was taken in by Customato. But yes, that was definitely appreciative. And I did notice that the subtleties when he's in his fighting stance, like when the bell goes, he'd have his guard up, he'd flick his head, like, because that's what people that train hundreds and thousands of rounds or whatever during training camps, they have wear head guard in the sparring, and obviously they come out of place, they're getting hit in the face, and one of their habits is touching the head guard. And if you see fighters do it, they do little touches of the head guard or just like knock it into place, and it becomes habit. So when in the ring, sometimes you'll see them just knocking their head or just giving themselves little kind of pats and taps, because they forget they haven't got the head guard on, but it's obviously it's routine, isn't it? So he does that. He does that throughout the movie. Very subtle, but really appreciative of the research that he's done. And yeah, it's got to be said, the choreography and the fighting was really good. Apparently, there's a lot of Dragon Ball Z comparisons and anime comparisons. I'm not an anime guy, so I wouldn't know if it slapped me in the face. Zoomed in close-up shots of before kind of a knockout blow would come, there'd be like a 360 pan and a zoom into what area would get hit, whether it's a shoulder, whether it's a kind of liver shot, whether it's a face shot, like for example when Dame got knocked out, whether it was in between the peekaboo style, or Pickering Conlon, how he got knocked out, is zoomed into the liver to the body shot. I got all that stuff. Yeah, and the actual choreography was really good as well. Really in the ring, you felt some of the punches sometimes. I didn't necessarily like the kind of dream sequence when Adonis was fighting Dame and there was kind of an empty arena there. It seemed a little bit too CG. It did take me out a little bit, a bit too fantastical almost. I just prefer to see kind of a brawl, and with the crowd reacting, and with all the family reacting, and Tessa Thompson and the coach and stuff. So I kind of preferred. I'd prefer it if they didn't do the dream stuff, and that kind of goes to my other negatives as well. Obviously, the dream sequence, which used some CGI, and some of the CGI in the arenas were pretty rough as well. So the crowd shots, you can clearly see some of the green screen when they were in the ring, after the fights and stuff, particularly after the Dame fight at the end. When Tessa Thompson was in there, Michael B. Jordan, and the trainees and everyone, you could clearly see they're not actually in the arena. But that did throw me off a lot, as opposed to the original Rocky movies. They were all on location, they were all in arenas. Even the first Creed movie, that was in location in a football stadium in the UK, at Everton Football Ground. So that, did anyone else notice how skinny and small Felix Chavez was compared to Dame, who isn't an actual heavyweight? You can see clearly he's not that big of a guy. Obviously he's incredibly ripped and athletic, but in terms of size, obviously Drago, Victor Drago is a heavyweight, absolutely no doubt about it. But even Adonis and Dame, neither of them are actual heavyweights. They may weigh that much, but size-wise, they're light heavyweight at best. So that was a little distracting. It was distracting in the first Creed movie, to be honest, where he's way smaller than heavyweight, and now they're putting a welterweight in with a heavyweight. These are things I did actually get past, to be perfectly honest. I didn't. I still enjoyed what was happening, and particularly with that Felix Chavez fight against Dame Anderson. The combination punching was very similar to Pretty Ricky Conlon, who's also an ex-professional. He was a world champion at cruiserweight, which is the weight below heavyweight. They weigh about 200 pounds. I noticed several times that their technique was very similar to Tony Bellew. Their combination punching was very similar to his combination punching. So I can clearly see choreographer on this, or stunt coordinator, and help them kind of produce the fight scenes and come up with the choreography. So I can see that he's a consultant in some sort, and I believe he was definitely for this movie as well. So I did notice all these small things. Michael B. Jordan has so much care about the Rocky franchise and in the Creed stories and actual, to reflect real boxing. I do appreciate some stuff. Some stuff worked really well, Some stuff was absolutely unbelievable in any way, shape, or form, but he's definitely tried, and I can see the love and passion he's put into it. That's what made people love, particularly boxing heads, love the Rocky movie so much. The grittiness about it, about the training, about an underdog getting a title shot. A ranked someone. Obviously, he wasn't world ranked, but he was ranked in the US as a US ranked heavyweight. Dame is zero. He's his professional debut, somehow getting a title shot. He's managed to convince promoters, TV networks, and things like that. So again, them kind of things are totally rough. As opposed to the Rocky movies, yes, certain things are unbelievable, but they do such a good job. No CG kind of crowds there. And also, I did absolutely love the Showtime kind of 24/7 behind the scenes. Beautiful. It was so realistic. They've probably dreamt of doing stuff like that. Every boxing fan wishes that they can have their own, where it shows their training, their home life, their fights, their interviews, and they really did a good job with that. Anyone who kind of watches pro boxing and sees this kind of behind the scenes 24/7 type shows, they definitely would appreciate that. I'm honestly, it was one of the best parts of the movie. The biggest negative I have on Creed 3, it was lacking emotion for me. Yes, there was some touching stuff with his wife, with his kid. Obviously she's got hearing issues and stuff, and obviously Mary Ann died. Biggest thing that I couldn't shake off is no Rocky, no Sylvester Stallone, and it shows. It just the movie missed him really badly, and it was crying out for him. I know there's other characters, his coach and Tessa Thompson's character. They were his moral guides in the movie, but Rocky, it seems like Creed needed the guardian angel on his shoulder in the previous other movies. He confided in that last round in the first movie before, obviously, with Ricky Conlon, that I need to prove that I'm not a mistake. And that's a heartfelt, touching stuff that kind of, it's a through line from the first Rocky movie to this. They just want to prove they go the distance. Second movie, obviously, he's avenging his father in effect, and proving that he's a worthy champion. And this movie, pep talks from his wife and his trainer. Yeah, they were okay. And obviously his mum dying, which kind of got rid of the chips on his shoulder, about Damien, about confronting his past. His wife was asking him to do so. He did after his mum died. Even that alone, that's a character that Sylvester Stallone kind of created himself. He was the screenwriter on all of the Rocky movies. So for them to kind of kill off a character without him being in the movie, his own character that he created, and Rocky he gives such good advice to Adonis about life in general and in the ring stuff. Obviously they did mirror some of his lessons, such as your tougher opponent is yourself. One step, 1 minute, one round at a time. Obviously he's repeating that. And as he's training, I did notice obviously the kind of run up the hilltop above the Hollywood sign. To mirror Rocky's one up the famous Philly steps, and doing his own kind of celebratory thing. I absolutely get that. And I get the point that they're trying to make, but nowhere near as emotional, as impactful as the gritty sweat, blood, and tears that Rocky went through. Rocky hardly even got any mentions in the movie. I thought I would get past it. I haven't. Even now, on this recent rewatch of all the Rocky movies, I get emotional in them. And I have been emotional in every single Rocky and Creed movie at some point. This is the first movie that I've seen in the franchise that I did not. And it's because, like I said, there's no through line with Rocky, connecting and bonding with Adonis Creed. I'll also mention the score as well. They do filter in and sprinkle the original themes throughout the movie, but it's used so slightly. They use, for example, a theme faintly slowed down, and they'll kind of remix it with a hip hop beat. I understand why they're remixing it. It's a new audience. It's a spin-off movie in effect, but I really wish they delve into that. They delve into that. They do it in the culmination of the last fight against Dame, for a few seconds. But other than that, I really wish they used it more and they knelt into it more. I understand they're creating their own legacy, but you're playing in that sandbox. And the Rocky themes, they bring so much about wonder, about achievement, about grittiness, about heart. And to reduce them reduces them emotions for me. So I really wish they knelt into that more. So I really believe it was a missed opportunity. So overall, in summary, do you need to watch this movie? The answer is yes. Michael B. Jordan did a fantastic job. It is really fun. The fighting's good. Yes, some things, as a boxing nerd and geek and amateur historian, didn't sit right with me. But overall, it's really fun. The fighting scenes are good. It continues on with the legacy. Not perfect, but it's still a worthy entry in the franchise. Yes, it's lower down on the list, absolutely, for me, but I definitely had fun with it. A good job Michael B. Jordan did, and there's rumored to be more sequels coming out, and I still think that there's room to bring other characters in. Obviously we've got from the original Rocky movies, Clubber Lang, his children, Tommy Gunn, his children, obviously Dame and Drago was in this one. Pretty Ricky Conlan as well. Obviously Wheeler's still around, so yeah, there's plenty of characters that they come back, and obviously, please bring Rocky back. That's definitely something. I know it's a long shot, but I really hope he makes an appearance before it's all said and done. But having said all that, I did like his exit in Creed 2 with that moment with his son, and do you want to play catch, and that stuff. Again, that stuff is heartfelt and touching. Although they tried in this movie, it didn't quite get there with the emotions. But overall, I did enjoy myself. Let me know what you guys think of Creed 3. Please put it in the comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys on the next review.